Welcome to my lovely HP community and the 5D Collective. We are going to start a new series of different types of episodes with the Mystic Mentor, Mindfully Living Loving Guide. So, spiritual self-help, mindful, that is where you are ready for this stuff when you have awareness of your window welcome and or window tolerance. And so today we did chit chat a little bit about that. We all react to unknowns. The difference is in handling stress in yourself - 5D Mystic Mindful Mentor. And we also discussed a safe haven is a self-aware regulating person who pursues personal growth and development - 5D Mystic. Then we had another episode. Let me go remind myself of what I gave the title in case you're curious. And it would be, yes, the We All React Unknowns, but it is with either stories or perspectives, something like that. So I like to try and make sure that we can have the shorts for the short attention span and a bit longer, but those are still shorts since I can actually remember when I was doing 3-hour podcasts, which for now we're not going to get back to, but we have some hour podcasts and some are video and some are audio. So if you are new besides YouTube, you can find HP on Spotify or your favorite podcast platform. And these are all where you get to find out about me and about anything and everything. And as I'm completely ready for you to understand being yourself, why would you need a person like me? It's like when I needed my osteopath for my back, my scoliosis. And that's though because I had a good foundation. Okay, so you want to understand your foundation are the EMDR, child parts work, and somatics for some people. And that's because that's how they're going to know how to be able to metabolize and handle stress with eustress. And so it's a beginning of a journey. Then you continue building resiliency. And as I said, we can get up to here. Every one of us knows our whys. 3 subcortical areas. Thanks, Dr. Daniel Siegel. So mine and yours are all the same. And the PDP framework. And so your personality patterns. Check. Your attachment you have secure or you are getting there. Check. And that means you want to understand this very well. You own the sense of self, which is why you're unwavering. And that's why you don't need Patrick Tahan. And we commit to not carrying on any of that, which is trauma charges, which means projecting shit at people. Okay, so I have seen that people do self-help, spiritual, mindful, channeling, downloading, guidance, Reiki, all things that I also integrate in my toolkit. You can call it a consultant, you can call it whatever you want, but the point is the mindset is the inner growth. And then the added masterclass, which we might have a light version of, and then all the other video exercises and the content that will be for paid stuff is to support you that on a journey you're already doing. And so the self-discovery is you know your name, but you know your name based on your purpose, which you also know is your heart. Okay, so you don't have a pain point that you want to drag around. Okay, so that's the difference, is that you're being yourself and you're excited about the emotional growth. So you're excited to set personal objectives that will allow you to continue mastering mental and emotional and physical. And that's because we're selfish. We like inner well-being. Okay, so integration of brain, selfish. There you go. How does that sound? That way people can understand. The ones who suffer life, I have some stories I'm integrating, mysticism, spiritual, okay? Just so you know. So I'm always pseudoscience. I like to spotlight the good educational podcasts, and then I make fun of the pseudo-intellectuals because really, I might be pseudoscience, but I ain't pseudo-intellectual. And as for spirituality, we all know we're all part of the same home. So the ones who want to be divisive with the word God, divinity, source, consciousness, FYI, there's no devil or demon in anyone. So the ones who think that they can heal your trauma, I'm a Reiki master. You can clear a sphere of energy. If the person doesn't choose to go to Janina Fisher or Patrick Tahan to work on their maladaptive patterns of behavior, yeah, it doesn't matter how I clear yourself from all of that density. I've seen it, that's why. So I speak from my subjective spiritual self-help, mindful mentor, personal development growth coach, okay? Because I have had some people throughout the years, since it's a trending topic, hey Maria, I want to do a little bit of personal development and Reiki with you. You really just want the Reiki. No, I did want that too, but I'm fine with being into shame, blame, fault, revenge. And no, they don't spell it out that way, but they're in their dark sides of neuroplasticity. And they actually are spiritual bypassers and savior complex people. And they are both in spirituality groups that allow them to tell them that they're doing great, and then other therapy and other type of professional groups, which is why people are like, I don't trust therapists. And I'm like, look, there's the good ones. I don't trust mystics spiritual. Look, there's the good ones. What I mean by good is that they care about what they do because they're experienced, and they're not selling you fluff, because they also know there's no shortcut to integration. And when someone wants to tell you they care about integration, but they ask for shortcuts, you know what my osteopath said, and he has some not very pleasant manners, but he's a really good guide. He gave me a very set series of exercises that to this day I memorized because I stayed with him for, it was like at least 3 years. And by being able to repeat the cycles with him all the time, twice a week, and or 3, when I had less money, once a week, but I now have them memorized by heart. And they all help my body. And then I went and did the Schroff method, and I added that. And so as I get older, and not decrepit hopefully, but I will be getting older, I might be able to maintain my length because I'm already short. I'm just saying. So my point is, when you're being yourself, the mindset and the inner growth mindset and personal development and growth is for people who are excited to selfishly look forward to more inner well-being. That's something, I'm not selfish. I actually believe it's stupid if you don't look for it. Because really, but now that I've learned it's because people think that they don't deserve it. No, they feel shame defectiveness. So they follow assholes around who give them stories. No, I'm sorry. There's some of them, they're drama kings and queens. They have all the information I have. I've seen them. I talk to them. I'm just letting you all know. So I'm going to point it out. No, I'm going to tell you about the funny stories. So when I was 8, I decided that I would help people when I grew up. And from this vague statement, if you go to my YouTube lovely description, what it meant to me is still what it means to me. And it is to help people live a good life as yourself. And now that I know that those who do this, Patrick Tian, I'm trying to send him to you. You want him first, or Terrio. Once you can say, wow, I have a right to be in eustress. That means I have a right to be a safe haven, secure base to myself. I have a right to breathe easy in my heart. I have a right to breathe easy in my gut. Once you say, I have a right to be in this space, that's why Patrick Chan, I love you, man. I forgive. He doesn't forgive, but he's building a community of people who need him because of, there's a variety of stories. Okay, so every person who cares about what they're doing, they have self-discovered and they have purpose, their name. And they do what they believe in. It's not a charitable belief. It's a practice, exercises. Okay, so I got one dude who treated me like an object. You know what I did? I didn't go back. And I could tell. You know why? Because of when I was in a vulnerable moment, the way he used that vulnerable moment, which was in a way to try and make more money out of me. That's happened before. And as a person who knows what manipulation looks like, and then as a business entrepreneur, I don't manipulate, I don't trick you, and I don't make it sound like you need me because everyone is indispensable. You don't need me. And the minute that you are presenting to me your expertise in a fearful tactic way, you are now afraid to lose me because that's the only reason you would twist shit. You know what happens when people care about what they do and they understand how scary therapy is, for example, and integration of brain. They explain to you, okay, look, you don't have to integrate. Don't worry. They will give you information. Look, right now you're in hell. We're going to get you out. But it's a ladder full of burning. These are the smart ones. Burning ladder. Every step, burn. But, as Dr. Daniel Fox presents, if you stick to it, like Bezo Vanderkolk will get you somewhere. Okay, so a person decides not to. That, to me, an inner human being who has my child parts all over. Again, I don't suffer, so I get it. But I'm going to say, wow, you didn't choose to bring yourself to get better. That shares with me and tells me what your first 3 years of life were made of. Because the only reason you would not go and get better here, avoidant gets on screen. You know, you're teasing us. And I went to therapy twice, but it's expensive. And they kept telling me I'm doing a good job. And then they were just asking me to do journaling and mindfulness. So I just said, why? We're all fucked up. That human being has a lame ass excuse. I don't know how old they are, but they think they did something fabulous. I'm like, what are you, teenager and an idiot? Because I did meet the idiots as a teenager. Okay, so that is an avoidant who could easily keep working with somebody and effectively, or even don't, but do the mindfulness, because that's why it helps integration. So you obviously didn't hear. when I get sloppy with my exercise, again, I like to bring myself into the mix. I will notice and I will get myself back on track. I know what wiggle room I can give myself. Why? Because again, you can call it selfish. Who wants to grow old and falling down and with a black eye? And again, okay, so when you're informed with knowledge and you share it, that's why podcast hosts that are interviewing these pseudo intellectuals, they must be just as idiotic as these individuals with their dogmas and stereotypes. And I mean, I'm an academic because I love learning, so I can now just spot them like a hawk. Again, I just think I saw a 20-year-old who looks up to that, which is yeah. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about Dharma with the spiritual stuff in mind. But first I want to spotlight our lovely Sadhguru. If you can create the climate you want in your mind, emotions, and body, then your health, joy, and well-being will be taken care of. So that's the part. Once you are established in your comfort, you go beyond the limitations because you move to integration, and with yourself and awareness, and with that purpose of you living a healthy life, you begin a journey. Then you stop dragging some pain point around because people don't need to be motivated like that. Motivation happens because you are a person who is driven to bring the best of you forward to the entire human species. When you're motivated by small objectives, you will still thrive. Again, plenty of people thrive on YouTube. They're stars with no horse. They are looking amazing on the external. They handle stress like crap and shit. And then they tell you that there's no enlightenment frequency and that they have laundry. Again, I might be taking it out of context. For all I know, all he meant is you're going to cry. And I'm like, but crying doesn't make it laundry. Because if it's a good one, it's actually called I released it. Now, to have a good cry, that's a good relationship with your tears, first of all, but also with having a moment of vulnerability, which means that you're okay with the fetal position. And that means you're okay to be helpless and hopeless. And that you are really, but okay means that you're not desperate. That's desperation and manipulation, and that's an anxious one, but it has nothing to do with me. He has a wife, he is an established poet, like seriously. There is no reason for this man to do what he did, like none, physically speaking. But it's not about what I have, because the physiological state is the traumatized part, the shame, blame, the teenager with the maladaptive patterns that aren't healable with Boca Raton. They are because I take ownership of who I want to be. So I self-discover, I self-grow. I want to socialize with more people, not less. The fact that you would want less people in your life tells me that faith in humanity was broken for you, and that you've judged people with a little list of items, and you seem to think that your lists are the good lists. I'm a perfectionist who's imperfect. Thank you, Gary Vee. As he points out, many are missing out on happiness because they choose blame, envy, jealousy, and non-responsibility as their emotional weapons of choice. It's a very important phrasing because that's exactly what they do. They might not choose it, but they're ruling and running from it. And I have seen it with content creators, bountiful, besides the pseudo-intellectuals that I make fun of. They're just egoic. I mean, because the pseudo-intellectuals are being interviewed, they really think they know everything, which makes me laugh in my butthole because I've been to academia. And I'm like, you obviously are deluded. You don't remember your colleagues. How dare you think you can know everything? You know you're one human being. I can't know everything. You physically can't. I'm just saying. And I love knowledge. So, and I love academics. And I know all the smart, brilliant ones. And when they do what they do, they're always opening every person's heart. While the other ones are just, oh, look, golden nuggets. Hey, look, we crowd. Hey. Let's not share our stash. Come on over. They won't notice. Hey, Pinocchio. Oh, look, you're flat earth. Yeah, I can see you've proven it. Wow, you keep working on it. You know what? I'm so sorry. I may be wrong. I might be crazy. But it might just be a lunatic you're missing. No, that you are seeing, that you're wishing for. Yes, this is where the healthy lunatics know moderation. And why I used to not know the difference between a healthy lunatic and a not healthy one, which would basically simply be those who have these visceral, yeah. So let me allow you to know low frequency is like mud. But like, you know how mud is when you put your hand in it, okay? So yeah, I'll think about how to describe to you what so here, I can do it. Yay! Yay, like all that. Like imagine a 3-year-old, but bring it to me, a grown-up. now do yay and then be and FYI, if it does upset you, please don't take it personally. You want to go and check out Patrick Tian or whatever, some shit's going down, because should activate the sympathetic. When someone tells me that they're not happy that people are happy, I feel sad for them, because it's not fake positivity. So I know that I share with you all stories without connecting all the dots. But when I talked about the Dalai Lama and the other one, I was trying to talk about when he gets told by this dude, "How dare you smile in the face of all this suffering?" And the Dalai Lama says it's not in spite of the suffering, it's that some of us have a responsibility. So when you have two ends of a spectrum, why would you ever want to be on the... So that I need to, as a person of spirit, recognize, because I love you, God, but as Akash, source, okay, the energetic imprint, because when we say God, you might think of the whole Lucifer thing. No Lucifer, okay, so source, Akash, conscious, it's all the same, but still. I do know that when I'm using the word God, I have a relationship to God the way I was taught it as a Christian Catholic. So I will feel God as a He. I will feel His discerning and quantumist love. I will hear His energy in that. When I think Akash, it's all a bunch of rainbows and stars. Anima Mundi. It's like, oh, I'm all over the place. And then when I think of Sadhguru's stories, I'm like, yep, here's Kali, Shiva, and Krishna Leela, and probably more than just that. I know there's a bunch of religious people in my LBLT over here between Jesus and Buddha. So again, where was I? Yes, the emotional weapon of choice. When somebody doesn't heal themselves from an avoidant, ambivalent, or disorganized, they will tend to have this way to express their lack of joy, and they're upset, and it will be in form of fame, shame, blame, fault, revenge. It will be in the form of being very upset at fakos, but in a way as if fakos are the only ones who succeed and stuff like that. So you notice, and then they even go against going to therapy, and it's like, okay, you obviously didn't meet the good ones, and the fact is you didn't go to one at all. A lot of people don't, so you really don't know what it's like to get out of your unfortunate state. And as the ascension energies are about, this is what happens. Things get brought forth because they're wanting you to welcome yourself. That's why I shared with you the good podcast of the neuroception, because from spiritual self-help mindful, I bring to you the human elements, because again, I'm a Reiki master. I know what happens when you clear an energy sphere. I understand this, and I do believe in miracles, but I know about the therapist, and then I know about your behavior, and then I see it. The adaptive child part behavior, the mask will not be taken off because you haven't taken ownership of your solo core narrative and relational self. You have not looked at the fact that you suffer relationships because you did not start life with an attachment that is secure with yourself and others and in your home and in your, so you're projecting all the messy disaster of your 0-8-year-old because your 0-8-year-old they couldn't help being codependent. And then you're a codependent in a household that is unsafe. That's why Patrick Tian doesn't believe in forgiveness. Okay, I'm going to read you him too. But here's for those who are empowered. Gary Vee is awesome. So he says, when you choose accountability, your life gets so much better, so much heart. And I'm going to add to that, Gary, it's not only accountability. You have to have awareness. Then you have to know your window of tolerance and a window welcome to your emotions, affect. You have to own your solo self. Own your core, own your narrative, own your sense of self. You'll know you own it because you'll be grounded in your body. Nobody can tell you how to think, how to feel, and you won't feel pissy if they do. You'll say, I want to grow more relationships. It's okay that we're different. So you like your relationships, and there you go. And so now you're building a community with all diversity. There's Manny, Diego, Sid. We can even have Diego's family because we know how to establish healthy boundaries, but we don't want them really. They won't want to be around us because we'll continue to reiterate ourselves. You are in control. Thank you, Gary. Not your daddy, not your mama, not your boss. You are in fucking control. Spot on. But not for the ones who need Patrick Tiahan. So from his video on unfinished business, he posted this the other day or today. Depends when you're watching this. He says, lastly, while we didn't cause it, we are responsible for healing our childhood trauma. Interpreting accountability as parent blaming is just noise from those not getting the full impact of horrific child abuse. We don't stay in bitter resentment. Post-processing and healing, with a good enough healing, we lose interest in our abuse story. And so he says, I don't embrace, nor do I live in resentment. I don't embrace forgiveness, nor do I live in resentment. So I embrace forgiveness. But again, he works with people who need to have that safe space because they're just beginning a journey, and then who knows how long it'll take them to grieve and to finally lose interest in sharing with a charge what happened to them. That's personal. Nobody decides for the group of people who have the unfortunate business of going through this. So he says, I believe in the work that moves us into our true selves. And I agree with him, which is why I spotlight Patrick Tian, because I believe in him being able to help all those who have, whether it's PTSD or CPTSD, the ones who suffer and then they go and they're content creators and they're just spitting shit all over. It doesn't matter if they're a mystic, a consultant, or a therapist, you'll notice it. And they usually say, my colleagues are against you. Narcissists aren't healable. Oh, your colleagues are against you. That's a pseudo-intellectual, by the way. The other ones just say, I'm a healer. How dare you trauma dump? Wow. I'm a mystic. I'm cutting cords. Don't you know it's thanks to my subliminal messages that you get to send? Really? Really? Wow. You sound kind of like you think you are, I don't know, like special. A special key. Are you a special key? Are you from the movie, the one with Bruce Willis and that other woman? Okay, so none of us are special keys. You're your own special key. Shot through the heart and no one's to blame. No one has to no, there's a beginning that gives this love a very frayed, not a bad name. It's a very, to open up the heart. So again, we all choose to be open-hearted, vulnerable. That's your self-discovery. That's your purpose. And then you know that no one's like you and you want to share who you are. So when you do know what your purpose is, like I did when I was 8, you're never off track. When you do understand how you care about what you do and that there's always this, I don't like to use the word, there's always the perfect time. I'm going to use that word. Because the way that the other people use these words, they kind of like, they don't have an independent relationship with what they're doing, as I'm going to bring it. So it's something personal. And that is where I'm going to leave it at. So objectives. Did you make your own objectives for yourself? Good. Is it going to be waking up better in the morning, surrounding yourself with people who have you smile? Awesome. Are you going to keep looking to try and make the best from that which comes around you and not feel guilty or shame if it takes you a little bit longer or less? Mulan, remember Mulan? Her dad, what does he tell her about the flower and the roses or whatever, the cherry blossoms? Okay, so some people is where Gary's really great at sharing. Don't think you're going to miss out. No matter what your age is, no matter what's going on, you can always do it. He's talking to anyone of all age groups of what can be done. And the people who are rushing it, everybody has a different story. But the ones who don't rush, it's because we know that there's a perfect timing, because we know from here. And although there are times where you feel uneasy, because society and everybody around you keeps chiming in, because that's the part of where the oversoul and our relationships and just life. But if you don't have some form of, like a wave, so you want to be able to surf, you see what I'm saying? And that's why handling stress with eustress, like Dr. Daniel Siegel said, you'll always have stress, because anytime you're getting up to move, you're doing something important. And that's why the 3 subcortical areas is what I find are very helpful. The Enneagram too, I can say that it has some valid points as I look through it and use it and integrate it with my own spiritual self-help mindfulness programs. And that's because they're different as I continue to contemplate the short masterclass types that I would like to create, or the exercises. And there will be also tarot type spiritual self-help mindful guidance. I know I already have a set, so I might make it a book and on Amazon. I'm still thinking about that one. But back to Patrick Tian, as he says, in the work that I do, much of it about holding abusive parenting accountable for how they abused, how they parented, what they modeled, how they conducted themselves, how they didn't use resources, how they refused to look at themselves, how they dismissed the impact of abuse. He says our present stuck places are related to all of that. And so obviously, again, he's working with people who have unfinished business. As Terry Real points out, with partners, they have the opportunity. He says, let's not call it unfinished business, let's call it personal development. And that's where he works with couples who are grown-ups. Patrick Tian works with people who want to go heal their child parts. So they might feel that they're stuck because they haven't started their journey yet, which is why it makes sense to me that he is somebody who's not embracing the forgiveness, but he's also saying, but I do not live in the resentment. That's how he's helping people to know you process the charge over time, and the forgiveness thing is their business whenever and if they ever feel like they will have that possibility. There was a comment in his post of somebody who said every time that I have been doing the forgiveness, because actually I'm in this spot when somebody mentions something, I go backwards. So this other individual who's just sharing their experience is saying, I'm moving towards forgiveness, but I keep on sometimes falling down, which is normal because, again, it takes time. Whenever anything is very important. That's why there's a difference with handling stress, with the eustress, by knowing yourself and by knowing emotions. We don't do the envy, jealousy, blame, the complaining. You in control with self-mastery, with self-empowerment, with the knowledge I have those 6 basic human emotions. I am an emotional being that contemplates, and then to get that energy, because emotion, energy and motion in a effective route. Anger has whatever ways you have. That's where the self-help comes into the practice of exercises. Sadness over here, fear. So for me, panic attacks help me to, not that I would want any of you to have that stuff, that for sure. For the panic attacks, I didn't need a therapist because I'm the mystic one with light body, rainbow body. So while it was happening, I already knew I was expanding the energy body. Today, I know that it's very important for somebody to notice. I didn't clinically dissociate, just FYI, and I kept on doing blood work and all that. So I was not overwhelmed in a way of me halting everything that I was doing in life. But I take very seriously that people seem to think they can handle, and they're just clinically dissociating on screen while I get to watch them, and I'm like, that's not really helpful. You're just making it visible, and I don't see you improving over time. I see you dressing yourself up with the criteria and not getting out of it. So that's why there's a difference with those who are healing and sharing, here's how healing is working, and you will notice as they grow, they will be moving into different topics, into different energy, into a different scope. But in the meantime, when they're healing, they're sharing how that feels and what works. And the people who want to heal, they look up, like Kylie. I look up to Kylie and know she's going to be a good influence to any narcissist who wants to heal, like any borderline. And I also know how hard it is to get these individuals to get to good therapists. That's the sad part, because not all of them follow any of the good content or know of it or want it, and nor do the people around them. And so they still think emotionally immature people are doing it on purpose. Nobody does it on purpose. No. The stuck places, though, we like to allow ourselves, I know I do, to be just practicing always, again, resiliency. So you know what you are capable of, and obviously when you're more tired, that's the moment where you will stay away from the ones who don't know how to handle themselves, because you know how to take space for yourself without feeling guilty or ashamed. And then, you know, if I do go, I'm going to be more nasty than not. I will look to work on that window of tolerance, okay? So again, like with the panic attacks, I worked with it on my own way, in my own way. And whenever anyone would chime in, I'm like, I didn't ask you. I know what I'm doing. I know who I'm talking to with my doctors. Thank you so much. I don't need you to tell me what to do. I'm following what I know is working for me, as I'm also taking the experts, doctor's advice, not a shaman who tells me don't go to therapy. No, not that. And when I did learn about freeze response, I'm like, well, I am a preemie. I was born with a C-section, so what Peter Levine said could make sense. My body could have been trying to already protect itself. There you go. And so, again, the fascia, I believe is what they call it, is what remembers. And so you don't just talk about things, though. If you're suffering life, you go and take care to do this stuff, because really, who wants to live in a body that is suffering? When somebody acts very, what's the word? Discomfort, like they're just so upset, but they don't consistently look to find the professional that can help them. Now, I also do understand sometimes that's really challenging, but at the same time, saying to somebody who can talk to you about ascension, spirit, and expansion, because that's where, of course, for me, when I come in with that, they're like, yeah, but I'm suffering, I don't give a shit. And I'm not saying you have to give a shit, but as a spiritual self-help, mindful mentor, content creator, podcast host, this is what I'm going to be bringing to you. You didn't go to the science alone. If you want the science alone, you know where to find them. You know, like that's where you go to the Bessel van der Kolk page or the NICABM page, and then you call up all of them. Hey, who's in my area? You know, you start doing research in those arenas. But when you have somebody who's not doing it, and then they want to project that frustration. It's an ill way to spend their time, also seeking support. And that support, of course, again, we're all bodies of energy, so that's why I know how to explain what's happening, and I also know how to explain the opportunity that's being given. Doesn't mean the person's going to take it. You bitching about it ain't going to be you growing from it, and you bitching about it tells me that you're also not proactively doing anything to get yourself to a specific place, because otherwise you'd have a complete list of a bunch of, so I'm just saying, like, selfishly, you're not doing what it takes to get yourself. You're just wanting to share it. Now, it's not a choice, it's a habit, but if you cared about your well-being, you'd be noticing, like when I stopped venting, okay, I'm going to choose something different because this isn't really benefiting me. Okay, so common sense, the people who don't think of it, it's not because they choose to be adaptive child part people. No, they have an inner child that has suffering, 0-8, and then their adaptive child is using what was a pattern of behavior that worked then and doesn't work now, and then they're not noticing how there's all this bountiful information on trauma and releasing it from the body and stuff like that, by the way. So I mean, it's really clear for me personally, because YouTube, you will be getting the content that you're interested in. I don't wield the algorithm, nor do you. The algorithm is wielded based on groups of people and content, and I mean, I know a lot of people complain about the whole addiction, social media, but if you're a master of yourself and if you're a person who knows how to talk and explain, you can get anybody to understand moderation, because that's actually what healthy people know. Moderation is key as you get older, and if you don't, then you don't know it, which means Patrick Tan, Terry, because that's a black and white thinker, Dr. Daniel Fox, someone. All or nothing, and that's not adult, emotional, mature thinking. In and out group, not emotional adult thinking, not grounded in reality. Any of our cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. That's grounded in reality, and then a bunch of information. And I can fuck it up, by the way. So remember, it's not perfect. If you want perfection, you go and listen to a panel of experts, and even then, they're still peer reviewing each other and all that. So remembering, we know some things, not all things. Groups have opinions, okay? FYI, discernment, that's what it means. Wise, good judgment. Equanimity, it means calm centeredness, thanks God. Love, oxytocin, gene hormone. Securely attached, restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating. Integrated brain person in front of you, besides the mystic stuff. And with mysticism, what I do know is that even though I have answers to pretty much anything and everything as an empowered feminine intuitively, I do. I know, right? No, you don't. Yes, no, I do. That's why masculines, they will always, it seems like you know everything. Not about you, about me and about life. And it doesn't have to apply to your case, obviously, because again, the me and life is important. My perception, my subjective self-agent perspective that I experience from my 3 subcortical areas. The fear, the sad, the mad, from what gets me into, I'm over my head right now, frazzled, okay? That's why you use people like me to be yourself with the inner growth mindset, FYI. I know of objectives, personal. I know of mine, they're very easy. And really, so because I'm consistently talking and doing it, what I actually enjoy more than anything is when we have the opportunity to have a safe haven, secure base, because I know that is actually, I just want to sit. So it's something nice to just be able to sit in ease, not think, not explore it. But I say that with the knowledge that I am happy here, you know. This is where I'm happy with the emotion coming out. I know that it's coming out for a reason. I'm not like, oh my God, again, emotion, really? I don't have that. That's not it. Actually, it's okay. How can I make sure to have the ideal situation so that I can be at ease and continue to do, you know, the growth part. So you're having fun with the unknown, uncertainty, unwanted, unexpected. And for me, it comes with that, which is faith in God, and besides the science, which is knowledge. Because again, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Actually, I've always felt lucky because by having God, grace, Akash source, I have an extra support. Because it's not only a resource, again, I'm a faith, so it's not a resource. I have to use the word because it's technical for self-help, mindfulness, and mindset stuff. But I mean, to me, it's not a resource. Please don't objectify God, but I get it. You don't believe in God, not you, but the people who don't. So, as Patrick Tian points out, when it comes to recovery, there are different approaches about making sense of parents who were perpetrators or worse. Those who don't protect despite knowing. One is to recognize up front that the parents were most likely abused themselves, so we must accept, love them despite the abuse. While I strongly don't agree with this approach, he says it works for some people. My issue with it, he says, this is Patrick Tian, that I feel like it blocks out processing the impact of the abuse. And I understand what he's saying, because he's saying let's contemplate and work with what you have. So don't think of they did the best they could. We know they did the best they could. Okay, now put it aside and you continue working with what's going on in you. And simply calling it parenting blaming is just lazy noise. And he says, I also find it to be codependent, not wanting to welcome anger or labeling toxic parents as abusive. So I understand what he's saying there too, because there are those who will not in any way, shape, or form acknowledge what they grew up in, and they are not healing. And in fact, they continue to do what he also points out, which is staying in relationships that are not healthy. They stay in their unfinished business. They don't do personal development or growth. And then they call it the Tom and Jerry relationship, an actual relationship. And he also, Patrick Chan, spots like what that looks like by using a movie clip. So when you see drama kings and queens out there in the movies they create, you'll know which ones are actually, yes, making fun of everything that we all deal with, stress, whatever, but in a fun way, to the ones who instead they're actually releasing all of that shame, blame, fault, revenge, envy, and more than just that. And that's the part of where I know that the frequency makes a difference. So when I'm watching something that's fun, it's a good creator, artist who is actually growing with society. And so yes, there's making fun, even the polyamory thing, monoamory, the fathers, the mothers, the everything, but they're having fun with it because they know our society is thriving. And there's not a stingy, resentful, angry charge or some shit going on in the behind the scenes. When you got some other type, and I don't watch those types of movies, so I wouldn't know, but you got a lower frequency, I'm going to let you know I've seen content creators in it. So it's very interesting because they are like teenagers on a wheelhouse. That's how I'm going to have to present it to you, because I now know also their adaptive child part. I'm special, and you, how dare you? But really, there's a lot more going on. And so I'm going to, let's see, should I read? The approach that he uses is to spend considerable time looking at their failures and holding them accountable for the abuse. Okay, so he uses an approach to support those who want to work through the parenting stuff. And he says this is the part of processing what happened to us and becoming empowered by finishing business with our parents. So he's saying you want to process and close it out. After good enough healing, he says this takes considerable time and effort. We move on to losing interest in our trauma story. He says it's not the idea of forgiveness. It's more like we've moved into a fuller and happier life. And that's because you reclaimed all your child parts. See, so I have all my child parts, which is why I don't know losing any of them. I know what Sadhguru shares. If you can create the climate you want in your mind, emotions, and body, then your health, joy, and well-being will be taken care of. Yes, that's the restorative embodied. Again, self-awareness, accountability, regulation by being yourself. This is exactly what the mindset, inner growth, and mindfulness and mindsight, they support. Mindsight skills, sifting sensations, images, feelings, thoughts. You can. Mindfulness, you like focusing attention, sitting in awareness, looking at your personality patterns, your temperament, and your attachment is a secure one. So like I have, yes, the Enneagram with the perfectionist and the 2 and the 8, 1, 2, and 8, but the PDP framework, I know exactly where I follow it like to a T. So that one's even more effective because I get to work with what is my embodied brain, which is more important than the words, because I don't need the story. I'm really working with expanding the capacity to metabolize, and that's, again, not good or bad. You simply get more integrated because you're more familiar with it, but really it's because you're also not judging the emotions. You are in control. You are master. It's not daddy, mommy, boss. It's no one. You don't do society, please tell me what to do. No. You are an integrated brain, and that's the part of why you don't see those who are equanimous. You will find who they are, and it is not, it's dangerous to have no emotions. It's inherently enlightening and healthy and amazing to be an emotionally invincible, mentally invincible human being who has, simply put, worked with the embodied brain. Now, I may have luck because I got started great. 3-year-old, come on in. I'm Maria, okay? And then I got taught manners. And as my big 8-year-old said, I'm going to help people when I grew up. I didn't say I changed my mind. No. I said, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly where I'm going. And I know that I talk to, that's it. So when things take place, it's not how hard hit. No, it's not, life will put you to your knees. It's disrespectful for me of faith. And as a mystic, again, when people say find your soul's mission, they are not talking to you about who you are. And all of our souls are the same because it's the same energy. So you being able to discern, wise good judgment, that you have a self, that you want to be an unconditionally loving, I have flaws, imperfection self, and beneath all of this, if you are of spirit, you have a very beautiful, at ease energy. If you want to have deep insights into life, other people's opinion of you should not mean anything to you. Thank you, said Guru. If you want to know whether you are moving forward in life, just see if you are a little more joyful today than you were yesterday. Again, thank you, Sadhguru. So you go beyond your limitations, first of all, with healing all of you. Once you have healed and you have no adaptive child parts, or at the very bare minimum, you know all those child parts, and you work with the adaptive strategies to maladaptive patterns. So you work with lifestyle and mindset choices that bring to you inner well-being. Now we have a person who's choosing, I don't want to be unkind, I don't want to be abusive, I don't want to bring my unsafe childhood behavior and unnecessary Cusco attitude into the environment because I was taught relationships are not safe. And here I was taught the world and life is not safe, and it's mean and it's broken and it's scary. I was taught not to have blame, envy, jealousy, but because of insecurity, those people who have envy, jealousy, and they do revenge, they think vindictive energy is tasty. And when they don't go heal, they wither away like Dorian Gray, which is not a fun thing to watch. So again, you will learn the language of love and kindness when you're an integrated brain and you own the sense of self, and therefore you have a window of welcome to your stuff. And then you know how to work with you, and you want relationships. You say, yes, I'm meant to have safe haven and secure based relationships. And for romance, you deserve at least one. And that means that they do personal development and growth. Otherwise, they ain't a safe, heavy, and secure base. Because if they're not doing it, they don't know how to work their nervous system. And you don't go around telling people to do therapy. No, that's not how it works. It's very clear when you have people who walk a walk and talk a talk, because they take self, purpose, and discovery and mastery, go beyond control very funnily. They take it seriously because, again, it's the language of love and kindness, and it's your true self healed child parts. You own the depths and you're enjoying yourself. Selfishly, you share who you are with selflessness, for those of us who know what healthy self-worth boundaries are, which is not, okay? So we don't feel bad. We don't feel guilty. We don't feel shame. We're not mad at the people who suffer life. We know exactly what they're doing. Disregarding Patrick Chan, disregarding Terry Real, disregarding going to take care of themselves. And then they have a bunch of people that they flock to. Again, I focus on personal development, self-help, not on all the other world stuff that's going on, just so we're clear. So please, like the Dalai Lama told that dude, it's not in spite of the suffering, it's because some have a responsibility. I have to you. I'm being myself. You can too, and well-being. If you're an integrated brain and restored, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating, wow. As a mystic, thank you so much. It's been years. My gosh, these people. So because we're intuitive, we pick up on each other. No, it's because we're all mammals that we pick up on each other's frequency. I learned this from Tara Brach in a summit after our lovely years closed up away. And as Tara Brach and Stephen Porges were both there, they both talked about things. And she started with, yes, it's all of us feeling each other because we're all a big vibration in mammals on Earth. And so for as much as the left mode people think that they are separate from planet Earth and Gaia, no, you're feeling every single bit of Gaia, everything. The difference is the left mode, they're disconnected from their emotional body. So this is the unfortunate business for them, not for us. And let me leave it alone. So functional inner child adults, we love to hang out together and we love to be around each other. So your objectives are why you would want a person who can support you alongside your spiritual self-help, mindful living, loving journey. If you're not of spirit, again, I am, which is why I integrate it all and bringing science and spirituality. But the toolkits for spiritual stuff doesn't have to be and don't have to be included. in any of that one-to-one mentorship. And usually they're not in any way, shape, or form including the basic personal development stuff, because personal development doesn't involve Akashic record readings, Reiki. That is chosen by those who I know are our 5D collective, and future workshops for mystics and whatnot. And once our tears are out and everything. So self-discovery and purpose. It's easy when you have an open mind to who you are, and therefore you're open-hearted, you're vulnerable. You also know that your self-consciousness and humanity expand with spirituality, and science is harmonized in love. So nobody thinks they're competing, because science does not disprove spirituality. It explains things for left motors, the left brain people who want to understand us. And then they say, okay, so it's science. They can explain your clairs. Sure. I know when my dreams are for something. I also know when it might not be. And I'm not really going to try to make sure I prove it to myself. So when you're not deluded by your imagination, when you're not controlled by implicit or explicit memory, and so you don't have to use a story, you don't think of it as set in stone. The reason 3D, 4D are lower frequencies, because they sit in stone. Basically, they don't allow themselves to consistently expand their self. The self is a verb, like Dr. Daniel Siegel says. So when you have personality patterns, temperament, and you're working with that embodied one nervous system, let's see if I can find his quote, and then we might have one more episode. Here he is. Personality, he says, is a filter through which our temperament deals with us as one nervous system body being here on earth. And he says, in awareness, this is Dr. Daniel Siegel, just so we're clear. And I'm not always good at naming all people and making you know if I'm quoting or not quoting. So again, this is something that I try to make sure you understand, but you can always ask me. In awareness, you become aware of who you really are, and it is not personality patterns, but you do work with it. And then he talks about how in the mindfulness workshops that he has been, the participants have trouble sometimes being in mindfulness, and that the personality patterns, this PDP framework, has clarified those problems and helped them, which is why it's good that I have that in my toolkit, and the Enneagram. And like I said, the PDP, I'm still finishing up the book, so I'm not 100% clear on the quiz. Like with the adult attachment interview, there's a specific way of questioning. I did it myself, and I am to a T that PDP framework. So does it mean it's easier? Again, when someone goes and complains on Nutshell Therapy Ladies panic attack video and says, so you're saying that we have to put up with it? No. They're saying that you have a window of tolerance and you can expand it. You complaining about it didn't put into practice. You didn't take that opportunity to do something called, I have a moment. Okay, so how's my healthy ways of releasing? And sometimes it is accepting. This is the part of expert yogis, darkness, detachment, your human secondary consciousness, which is why it's not a bummer. Your book, Sabine, Existential Physics, your purpose, your meaning. You wake up in the morning. If any of your cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable, you sit in darkness and you're okay with it. My name's Maria. I have had many a lifetimes. I don't need to prove it. I have a good time being Maria and being a mystic, and actually telling you all my brothers and sisters are angels and there's no demons in the sky, and that being a leader does not mean dominating the situation. It means empowering people to do what they would not have imagined possible. Thank you, Sadhguru. And that those who are stuck in the realm of right and wrong, liking and disliking, will never know the texture of love. Thank you again, Sadhguru. So when somebody is refusing to notice that when they wake up and there are relationships and everything is going to shits, but they want to talk to me about spirit ascension, and then they want to complain about it, or they want to say, people are whatever it is, you have missed the point. You don't even notice that you are the walking, talking common denominator, and your body brain is waiting for you to go and take care of it, but you don't want to. Not to mention those child parts, okay? So you don't have access to aliveness, to the fullness of you, let alone the access to being able to be at ease. So even if you have a safe haven, secure base person, healthy self-worth, you may in one moment be at ease with them, but you're going to go back to your karma wheelhouse. And that causes distress. So you don't handle stress. That's why we have a Zen master talks to you about laundry. He gives himself the title. I'm wondering why. I'm guessing it's ignorance, because that's the only answer to why. So, at the end of the day, again, a guide is somebody who can guide you. A mentor is somebody who can also show you the way. And the reality is you're only going to have one that is going to guide you well and be a mentor well if they know what they're talking about. But also if you know who you are. And so if you don't have secure attachment, that is why self-help doesn't work. That is why personal development doesn't work. That is why, if you don't understand what your embodied brain is, or you don't want to believe in it, it's not something you make anyone believe. Neuroscience, ha 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 ha, everyone has something to believe in. Okay. So ignorance is not a choice, but when you're presented with information and then you deny it, and then you want to go and grab some student intellectuals when people do this shit. I mean, I don't bother again analyzing it at all, because I already know the minute you're contesting, I'm not trying to tell you how to live life. I'm just talking. I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying myself. And open-hearted, vulnerable people know that. So the self-consciousness, humanity, we expand, and spirituality and sciences, as they continue to harmonize, it's because the intelligent mind, body, and biology people, because now I know a new word thanks to that lovely neuroception video of the one lady that I mentioned. It's the mind, body, brain, and the biology with the whole self. So it's all, because they all come together and share with you what you can do to live inner and outer well-being. And again, the people who are afraid of it, they get told you don't have to rush through anything. But yeah, getting out of this shit is going to take time, and your desire to, and it will burn. Like this one lady says, as you're climbing up the ladder, and as Dr. Daniel Fox says, you will fall back on your patterns. But with healthy self-worth people, they're going to keep you in check, but not in a way of judging you or doing, let me shame you. No, because that's why we're healthy self-worth, because we all will have known that we all walk a walk and talk a talk, and all of our feet will have done something where we got light shining through them. It means everybody is a human who knows what life is. It's just not this whole suffering stuff, because no, some of us don't suffer. Again, I feel for those who do, and I'm happy that there are smart human beings who give them a bazillion ways to work with their biology to get out of that flight fight. Like this neuroception video is amazing. I mean, I had already known about it, but I didn't know of this woman training other therapists. Bethany Brand, Ruth Lanius, helping with people getting integrated and out of dissociative disorders, and more than just that, Janina Fisher. There's also the IFS model. I'm going to be taking a course on that one. So there's all these amazing people, and anybody who wants selfishly, we'll put it that way, their well-being, they're not selfish. I'm just playing with words, but those who will notice, they will do so they can live a life of meaning and connection with each other and our solo selves, not because they want to play a note. I'm a healer. How dare you trauma dumping? I am for this group. Did you know that this group? So yeah, those are the people that I seriously think, wow. But I do know the relationship soul age group. So you get choice points as you walk a walk and talk a talk. That's also why nothing is stuck and or set in stone. You choose for you. I choose for me. So being yourself, dealing with unknowns, uncertainties, unwanteds, unexpecteds, by going with the flow, whose flow your flow, by going where within you, having what? An open heart, and there you go. The inner growth mindset with mindfulness practices and mindsight skills. You will be getting a lot more on some types of content, so stay tuned, and it will involve our lovely tarot and my lovely stream of consciousness. I still have our golden egg, and I love it. We have a new moon coming up soon. So again, be tuned for some food for thought, channeled guidance messages, and reach out if you have any questions and or if you'd like to see any types of specific episodes, and if you want to inquire about mentorship or the masterclass or the workshops that are in the future. So have a good one.